Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everything in Racing. As promised, Harry is back on the podcast, only 2 episodes later than last time, and he dragged along Billy Barnhouse with him. Welcome to the podcast, buddy.
Lucky y'all.
Lucky y'all. We got a Billy Barnhouse, and
thank you for letting me be here.
Yeah,
Look, I just want to say this. So I went to a new barber, okay, and the dude made like, I ain't name dropping, okay, but he made me look like I belong in a 64 Impala with hydraulics on it.
And what's wrong with that?
I'm just saying.
Well,
He
it was
fucked
amazing.
my face up is where I'm going.
It was amazing because last time you showed up, I was like, "Damn, that guy's ugly."
Yeah.
And you showed up today, and I was like, "Damn, it got worse."
Well, now, I mean, my question is did he say new barber or nude barber?
Well,
You know, we might have to play back the tape.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious.
new.
Oh, okay.
New.
I was just
With
curious.
with a W.
Okay. just need some clarification there. That's it.
New with an N.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, for everyone behind the camera, you and I have been friends for a little bit. We got introduced to each other by a friend of ours,
sure.
Frey. Sells parts to us, beats us up, helps us on our race program.
Tells us we're fat.
Tells us we're fat. Yeah.
I resolved that problem, though.
Yeah. Hey, I resemble that remark. It's been a, we've been hanging out ever since.
Ever since.
Yeah, and
for
I've been bugging you for months to get on here, and finally I had to use Harry to browbeat you into showing up.
It worked.
It worked.
Mm-hmm. I promised him I'd bring his parts, and I didn't bring them.
You didn't bring him again.
I mean, when you have a race car that doesn't run, I mean, it's kind of hard to say you have a race car. So
That's not true.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people out there that do it. They talk shit to everybody on the internet every day.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I have a shell somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
You and like lots of other people.
Yeah, and they keep promising me that it's going to get done.
I've already told you were in chassis jail, and that's how it worked.
Yeah. You know who you are. Get it done.
So chassis jail doesn't work.
Yeah. So, like we start every podcast, brother, what got you into this world of horrible financial decisions?
Well, here we go again. So,
Shh, don't pretend like we restarted this 2 minutes into it.
So, this started out, like I said, I come out of the womb with a Matchbox car in hand. And mom and dad we'd go to Kmart because there was no Walmart at the time. There was no anything. It was just you had a Kmart and we had a Rose's, and that was it. And they would sit there and give me, they'd say, you got $2. They were like 99 cents at the time. And they'd say, well, go pick you out a Matchbox car too. And, that's what you get. 2 hours later, I would still be there trying to pick me a Matchbox car out because I couldn't decide what I wanted because I wanted this, I wanted that. And I'd have 4 picked down, and they'd be like, well, you get 2.
And for anybody that doesn't know Billy, he still does the same thing today when he tries to decide which direction he's going with his car.
And that being said, if I change my mind, I'm going to change it. So
he's going to call me and be like, tell me if I'm dumb for thinking about this. And 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes.
And it could be. It could be, for sure. So, and it would finally end up, and we would get, I would have to pick, and I would pick. And, go from there. But then that just started a wheel, and my dad was always into cars. He was a big car guy. When he first got married, he married mom. He had a 69 Super Sport Chevelle, 396, 375, 4-speed, 411. He had his license 3 months out of the 12 months that they had the car because he'd lost it racing and stuff. And, so he was into cars. He always was. My dad was a mechanic. And so we always did, fast forward a little bit, we always did the car shows. We always did the, everything around the area. Well, I can't remember if I was 15 or 16 years old, something to that effect, but Super Chevy Show always happened at Piedmont Drag Strip. And they had the big car show, and of course they had, the bracket race for Super Chevy Show. And I was like, well, now this is pretty cool. So I can go back and look at the pictures that I took at the cars, and some of the cars, which is really funny, is friends of mine today that I took whenever I was 15, 16 years old. But that kind of was the starting of the bug, and we still did a bunch of more car shows. at that time I had a 68 Camaro that we were starting to work on. And
Is this the same car?
yeah,
Okay.
same car.
So
And-
that was Problem Child?
No,
No. So there's nobody. I don't even know how many people have ever seen that car.
a lot of people have seen it.
I didn't even know about it until I was at the shop one night, and
Yeah.
he was like, "Hey, come here, let me show you something." I was
Everybody-
like, "No, please don't show me your dick."
Not again.
No more of
Stop
that.
asking.
Yeah, I mean, dude, we can't do that. But honestly, that car was, the funny thing about that car is, I was teased about that car because when I was 15, it was supposed to be done in 6 months, kind of like your chassis.
Kind of like his fuel cell. Too.
That sounds like a lot less work than mine.
It is. That's what makes it even worse.
But it was supposed to be done so I could drive it when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're in chassis jail. I was in bodywork jail. He was like, "Oh, we'll have it next week. We'll have it next week, and we'll have it next week." And I didn't end up getting the car back till I was 18. So the whole time I was teased about it all through high school. Oh, you ain't got no car. You ain't got no car. No matter how many pictures I had, nobody ever seen the car. This is the car that does not exist.
It's like that guy who has an uncle that has a really
Yeah,
fast
the
car.
ghost
For
He's
sure.
like, yeah, we'll fuck you up with my cousin's car.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get my brother's car.
Yeah.
But and that's just how it worked out, So I mean, I was teased about that for a long time, and then when I finally got it back, it was there was so much money in the car that honestly I was just scared to drive it. I mean, and to be really honest, I still am to a degree.
So it's that one in your garage. That's the one we're talking about. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. And so, in between 16 and 18 is whenever all that mess was happening. And so I bought a Formula Firebird, just a regular 305 tune. It wasn't even a tune port car, it was just a regular 305, little bitty. I think it was like 150 horsepower like the Mustangs. But I mean,
the fire turd.
About like his Grand National.
Yep. But it was absolutely slow. And I rode in, and this was way back in the day, I rode in Kevin Clifton's T-Type. He had an 86 white T-Type. And and it was fast. It was fast. And I was like, I need me one of these. So
Back in the day, though, like those cars were like that was like the epitome of fast.
For sure.
And during, when are we talking? Like
That was
80s,
87.
late 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
86, 87. And so Daddy was like, he said, no. He said, they're too daggone much money. We're not doing that. And my dad was very frivolous with his money. He was like, he didn't, frivolous is not the correct word to use, but I should say he was more
Frugal.
Frugal.
There you go. Those are opposite.
I would
terms.
definitely
I was
opposite. They're definitely opposite.
Frivolous means he would have bought 3 of
And
them.
he,
Oh, you want one, son? Sure.
oh no, he won't buy a
Let's
jet.
buy 2.
So we went down to Kenley Ford. There was a green 87 T-Type down there, and it was priced well. Still it was like $12,000 or $14,000 back then. And we took it down there and drove it. And Daddy was like, "Well, what do you think?" Well, there was something wrong with the car. So if I'd have knew now, just coil packs were bad on it because it was popping and spitting and sputtering and stuff like that. And Daddy was like, not impressed. He's like, his remembrances of a big block Chevelle, with a 4-gear, with a 410 in it. And he's like, not impressed, and I'm like, you just wait and see. So what ended up happening is I was passing through Anger, and BB&T and Anger had a white T-Type down there. And I was like, well, let's stop and check it out. Well, it was a repo. Ended up, bidding on that and ended up getting it. And the motor supposedly had a busted piston in it. And Daddy said, well, we'll fix it and go from there. So pulled the heads off of it and everything. It didn't have a busted piston. It had a head gasket bad. So replaced the head gasket. Turbo was bad. Replaced the turbo. And it only had, I think it had 12,000 miles on it when I got it. And fixed it. It already had a bunch of applied technology research on it, ATR stuff on it at the time, which back then ATR stuff was the cat's meow for a turbo Buick. And it was like, and I just put a stock turbo back on it at that time. It was nothing ridiculous, but the other stuff that was on it was substantial. So Daddy took it out and drove it before I did. The tires were completely bald whenever, I took it out. And he went out there and in the middle of 401, he pulled it out, grabbed second, and about spun it around in the middle of 401 because he wasn't ready for it. And he come back in there and he said, we gonna sell this thing. And I was like, it's in my name. We ain't selling nothing. So he goes, okay. So that put his mind to working. And he was like, now how am I going to keep my son from getting killed?
Or getting arrested.
Or getting arrested. So he said, look, I'm going to get you set up. He said, we're going to run this thing on the track. He said, you can do whatever you want on the track. He said, but I want you to keep it off the street. And he said, I'll get you set up, rims, tires, whatever we need to do. He said, we'll go down there. He said, you can put it through the floorboard if you want to. He said, do whatever you want to do. Go as fast as you can go.
These are like the famous words from a dad that used to street race when their son's trying to get in the car.
For sure. And
as my dad said the same thing as he's telling me the story about him on the work release program, working on the city farm, during on the weekends because he was caught street racing. They took his car.
That's funny. Exactly. Yeah. So and that's kind of where that played out. And I mean, that car was for back in this was like the car was 87, and so this was probably 88. Maybe it might have been early 89, but it was 88. And, I mean, the car runs 710 back then. And I mean, nothing.
Which back then, that was
fast. That was fast.
Yeah. For a street, especially like a V6 street car.
Yes.
It was busy.
And that was stock. I mean, that was stock turbo. Stock turbo. I mean, nothing ridiculous on that. I ended up getting hooked up with a guy who, Jay Carter.
Do you mind muting that?
He was a big Buick guy, and at that time, and he did a lot of performance parts for the Buick stuff, and we became friends. Really smart guy, and we done a little bit to it, and I mean it ended up being a consistent 710, 712 car. On a street, it was on a radial at the time, and the radials are not what they are today. But like, a Mustang, with mods, would be lucky to run a daggone 820. So, I mean, I was a full second faster than them. I could let them go and I could catch them no matter what. So people still ask me about that car to the day.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you found people start trying to make rules against you. That's where everyone starts asking you for the back tire and the hit.
Well, it was never a grudge car. Okay. I mean, it was a car that, it was 100% legit. I mean, I'd let anybody drive it as long as they were aware that it would go around them in second gear. I mean, because if it snatched second, it would turn it around. So, anybody could drive it. Anybody could drive the car. Cruise works. Everything, air conditioned, everything. So it was like, it was just fast. So I finally was like, okay, it's fast. I'm going to have to do a lot of changes to it to make it go faster. And Daddy was like, well, he said, we probably need to not do that to that car, because it ended up being, it's a really low production car, and he was more mindful of that than I was. So he was like, we probably shouldn't do that. He said, we probably should look into more, doing some bracket racing and stuff like that. So we ended up looking around, and this was before all the internet stuff, so you couldn't go on to Facebook Marketplace and say, hey, I'm looking for this right here and find it.
Pick up an Auto Trader.
Exactly.
What was it? I Wanna. You remember the I Wanna?
I don't remember. No, I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
But it was you could get a bargain trader, or you could go on, it was Bargain Trader and something else, but that was about it. And you made phone calls, and people were like, well, I know Joe Blow over here's got such and such for sale, and so-and-so over here's got something for sale. So, we made a few phone calls, went and looked at a couple cars. One of the cars was like a 72 Camaro, nice little car. It was slower than my Buick. I was like, no, I don't want none of that. I don't want no part of that.
And that's pretty slow.
Yeah, that was pretty slow.
I thought you were talking about your current Buick.
No.
That's pretty slow.
No, it's not as slow as a Mustang, but that's okay. And then he
ain't as fast as a Nova either.
It's true that. It's got to run before that happens.
Both of ours have to run before that
Ain't that
happens.
right? So, it's the only running car. It's the only running car in the conversation.
Harry.
Mine don't even run.
I was about to say, hey, Harry, is yours running right now?
Well, technically it does, yeah. It
Yeah.
just can't go anywhere.
It can't move forward under its own power at the
Yeah.
moment.
Listen, don't play with me. I'll borrow a converter and fuck both of y'all up. Okay.
And then what's even jacked up is if he needs a converter, he can get
I'll
mine.
steal his.
He can get mine.
Yeah. Actually, my converters would probably work for you too.
I don't know.
I don't know. He runs a power glide, don't you?
No. 2-speed 400.
Oh yeah, well, he won't work. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
mine's
yeah.
a turbo spline.
Yeah, but mine makes more than 800 horsepower.
So does, mine don't make jack. Mine don't
does
run.
mine. Yeah.
Mine doesn't run, so it doesn't matter.
Well, that's true. Neither of ours makes more
Mine
than
don't make
zero.
jack.
Yeah.
Mine don't make jack.
Yeah.
I mean, it might make it on a like a finger dyno, boom, 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 but that's
Yeah.
it. And
The most accurate dyno, the butt dyno.
there you go.
That's right.
Oh, that felt faster.
Either that or the internet dyno. Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Hey, mine's faster. So ended up going down to Julian, North Carolina, and I found a '69 Camaro. It was a lowrider car. I mean, just a really nice piece. He built it himself. He was an aircraft mechanic, and it was a complete. The quarters were steel, the roof was steel, everything else was fiberglass. So, I mean, with a big block in it, I think it weighed 2285. With me in it, I mean, it was somewhere 23 something at that time. So, I mean, it was a nice car. He had when I bought it from him, he had no delay box. I mean, he was running off a trans brake, but it was all just him leaving the button. And I mean, it was a 117, 118, 1960 foot car, whatever he had it. Well, he had a 509 in it. And I was like, well, I don't want your 509. So I ended up changing it up. I put to start with, I put a little 396 in it, 12.5 to 1 motor. And the car run 620s all day, straight motor, alcohol, and it would run it all day long. 60 foots were 135, 132, but if it run it when it come off the trailer, it'd run it all day. What you got?
I just caught a fly. You ready?
Now,
Oh, wow.
if you'd called it with chopsticks, I'd have been really impressed.
Dude, just we got a friend.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So I ended up, the guy who did my motors at the time was Tim Harmon. Fantastic guy. Fantastic with a machine shop. He was he was good. And he could take junkyard parts. He could take stuff that people threw in the trash and do whatever he needed to do to it. And his mess was faster than yours. Mm-hmm. And it just worked out like that. And I don't know, just because of what he did. So
there are guys out there that just seem to manage to be fast no matter what.
That's like Ira was like that, back in the day, man. Like before Ira really
For sure.
had money or sponsors or anything. Like, man, Ira would take all the stuff that you threw over there in the trash pile, and he would like cobble some shit together and then beat your ass with it. I mean, that was
but Ira always put in the wrench time.
He did, but he did it with all of the stuff that nobody else would use.
Exactly.
And now, I mean, obviously it's a different story, but like back in the day, man, he always did it with less than everybody around him.
Except he's still fast.
Yeah.
My
super
favorite
fast.
my favorite Ira thing I ever heard recently, someone was yelling at him in some race that they were in. They're like, you have this and you have this and you have this. And he gets right back in the guy's face and goes, they'll sell it to you too.
Yeah.
There you go. For
That's
sure.
my favorite thing I've ever heard. Like,
For sure.
just
for sure.
like, stop complaining about what I have. You can buy one too.
For sure. Well, one thing about like changing the subject a little bit is about like we're talking about with Ira is that there's one thing you can't say about Ira is he did not put the wrench time in and he hasn't put the time in because I mean there is I have heard and I know Ira but I don't know him super super well, but I do know that he has messed up a motor on Saturday and been in the parking lot
Saturday morning and had a race Saturday night,
or he would have a race Sunday and have his mess back together, and guess what? When he come out Sunday, he was still fast. So I mean, with somebody with dedication like that, that's somebody you don't mess with usually because they're not going to lose.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, and now he's been in it long enough. He's got the network around him to make stuff like that happen.
for sure.
You
But he's
know.
still fast.
Oh
Very
yeah.
fast.
I'm not doubting that.
Oh yeah,
You
for
know.
sure. And anyway, so go back to so this car was called Problem Child 1, okay, And I put it was a 450, 460 over. So what is that? A 468 or something like that?
I think 60 over is like 496. I think. Ain't that right?
Yeah,
I don't do Chevy stuff.
So it was a 460. It was a
So-
468 cubic inch. So
Yeah.
it was not a big motor.
That's right. It's 460. It's 496 if you stroke it.
Yeah, if you stroked.
Yeah.
But it was nothing. It was oval port headed motor, closed chamber heads, nothing radical. We put a nice roller in it, but it was not a stupid motor. It was not stupid. In the car, I'd go out there and run 116, 117, 118, 60 foot times, depending on track, and it would run 550s all day.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like if that car, I switched it over to Ron's Racing alcohol injection. It's called the Flying Toilet.
I was about to say you had a toilet bowl on it, didn't you?
Had a toilet bowl on it. And
He's laughing, but that's what they're
no,
called.
that's exactly what it's called. It's called a toilet bowl because it looks like a big toilet flapper
It
in the
looks
bottom
like
of it.
it looks like a big velocity stack
Sure.
with a single flapper in it.
Wow.
Yep.
Like
And
like an RV toilet, how it's got
that's
the flapper in the bottom. That's exactly
what it looks like.
Man.
But it works.
Yeah.
It works.
It's like it's all mechanical.
It's all mechanical fuel injection.
alcohol injection.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen? I think it's Holly that made it as kind of as a joke.
The joke, yeah.
The sky ram.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, we're
funny.
gonna put one of them on Billy's car in 10 years when
Well,
he's done.
what's funny is you can actually order one.
That's probably
and they'll
how
send
long
it to you.
That's probably how long it's going to take for it to run it again. So So we put the flying toilet on that car, and it's the easiest thing I've ever tuned in my life. And it would literally, if I rolled that car off the trailer, and it went a 562. It can run a 562 with a 5, 562 with a 6, whatever. If it run that coming off the trailer, I could dial it down 2. So if it run a 562 with a 5, I could put it on a 562, and it would run that 562 all day long. And it would, worst case scenario is at night, I might have to dial it down a little bit, but it wouldn't be over one number. So, I'd dial it on a 561, and it would run, if not the number, it'd run right on the number.
Mm.
And, that car, it was just deadly. It was a deadly car. I won quite a bit of money with that car, and it ended up, when I was beat with that car, I was beat by a dragster.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, I want a dragster. Worst mistake I ever made in my life.
You ever been married?
Yeah, mine's good though. Yeah, mine's good though. See, that's another situation for you. I understand. But,
Yeah, unfortunately, I did check the description. This is not a marriage counseling podcast.
Hey, but we could go there.
Oh, I don't
though.
need counseling. I need counsel.
Yeah, counsel for sure. Hey, we can call names here who are if we need to, but no.
Yeah, man, look, I don't care.
But yeah, it was. So I went with a dragster, and I thought I made all the right decisions when I bought the dragster. I bought a 215 inch Horton, rear engine dragster. It was a proven car. It won the points championship the year before I bought it. It won the points championship. Well, of course, the guy did, that owned it. He won the points championship at Piedmont that year with the dragster and won a new race tech. That's why he was getting rid of the car.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew the car worked. Well, I'm going to tell you what, it might have worked with his tail in it. But when I sat my tail in it, I said that, it did not work. It would not go down the track. It was the worst headache I had ever had in my life. So
I guess why do you think it didn't work? Just because you were trying to go really fast with it, or?
I literally took my drivetrain out of the Camaro, which 550 car, and put it in a dragster, which would have meant it'd have been a 5.0 car, maybe a high 490 car, but it'd have been a 1.0 60 foot as opposed to a 110.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if it was lucky, it would have went a 0.99 60 foot, but it still should have been deadly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, for whatever reason, I either could not get the combination right, I couldn't hold my mouth right, I don't know. It was just, every time I sat my tail in it, I broke something.
Mm.
So
Maybe we should ask Harry, does he hold his mouth right, or?
I don't know. At that point, I didn't, obviously.
I don't know, because every time I turn around, my shit's broke too.
Yeah. So, it was just what do you do about that,
Mm-hmm.
And
Sell it all and start over.
And that's exactly what happened. I sold every bit of it because it made me. I mean, you go from winning. I mean, these bracket races around here were tough, and if you don't believe they are, you go find you a bragging card and go to Gallant Motorsports and go to run a bracket race down there.
Oh, the turnout is amazing for their bracket races.
But I ain't talking about that.
Well,
I'm talking about what does it take in one of those bracket
Dude,
races.
I'm gonna tell you, we were coming back from a no prep race one time, and we ran across these guys. I think the dude's name was Mitch. They're from out of state somewhere. We ran across these dudes. They had an open trailer with 2 cars on it, right? Bracket cars, and we started talking to them, and I'm pretty sure I'm friends with the dude on Facebook, and like every time these guys go out, they win. Like literally every time. And we're not talking about winning like a $1,500 race here or like a $2,000 race here. Like these boys are going out here winning these like $10, $15, $50,000 bracket races. Like it's insane.
Yeah,
bracket racing is just another.
I don't understand how they get so much money for a bracket race through like sponsorship and entry fees and all that stuff.
Well, that's easy.
But we come to a list race and they're like $500.
Well, I can tell you right now,
I'll tell you what, though, you show up to a 252 no prep race and it's guaranteed $5,000 to win with no minimum car count.
Not too bad somebody ain't got no car that runs.
Well, it's because JJ the boss is showing up. You know. So what have we been calling? What do we call him? DD. We've been calling him DD in the chat. Yeah, DD the boss.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man.
So yeah, it was that car for me was a complete nightmare.
Also, we need to add Coleman back to the chat again. He's been gone for a couple hours now. You need to go ahead and add him back.
There you go.
We haven't done that to you because we like you.
Well, because I'm not gonna accept it.
Yeah.
So,
Billy just won't even come in there.
I'm not even coming in.
Nah, see that's the problem. Like a group chat on Facebook, you don't have to accept it. Once someone adds you to it, you're in. And the rules of the group chat that
it
we're
used
in,
to not be like that. You used to have to accept it.
Yeah. Yeah, the group chat that we're in, unfortunately, once you're in, you're not allowed to leave.
Well,
So
I have an IT background, right?
Yeah, one of our favorite games is watching guys leave and then adding them back. David has left like 15, 16 times.
Oh my God!
See, I have one on here that is like whatever, and I'm still there, but it's just muted, and I don't have to listen to it. So you know. But
Brock and I were talking about that on the last podcast,
mute.
and he's like, oh, if you do this and this, you know, and put it in an archive, you don't see it. I was like, see, that does work until we kick you out of the podcast, or we kick you out of the group chat, and then add you back, and it undoes what you did. You know,
and then it's just like a little slide
every
away
time.
See, y'all think y'all are slick. Now you're telling all the damn secrets.
Yeah, every time we've done that to Braxton, that's why.
Is that what it is?
We realize he hasn't popped up in a while.
Yeah.
So we just kick him out real quick and then add him back, and now we start seeing the notifications again.
And then I'd put you back on mute again and be done with you. So, but yeah, that was
also, Jonathan Harper, I'm adding you back to the group chat.
Sounds like a threat to
Dude,
me.
I think he left the group chat like 20 times one day.
And
like,
I added him back 20 times.
He left 20 times and he added him back 21.
Well, there you go.
Well, but my reason for doing that for Jonathan was the biggest defender of the no one leaves the group chat rule.
Yeah.
Right. So
and then he left.
Yeah. People would leave and he would just add them back instantly. So when he tried to leave, I was like,
peace out.
Yeah.
Rules are rules.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So what made you have such a love affair with Buicks? Because from last count, I think you have 4, maybe 5.
No, I have 3.
The car you drove up in is a Buick.
Oh, yeah, that's a Buick too. No, that's 4.
That one don't really count.
It really don't. That one's a German car. So
my favorite thing actually did you ever see the ad campaign they did for that car?
I don't really watch TV.
It was they did it during like the Super Bowl and something else, and the entire ad campaign was Buick still makes cars. Like
for sure.
That was the entire ad campaign.
I'll say this: when they came out with those cars, though, like I'm not a Buick fan, but like.
It looks comfortable.
Yeah,
it looks like a good old man car.
Yeah,
it is an old man car. It is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's basically you went and you're like Buick or Volvo. Buick or Volvo. They're both comfortable.
Oh, for sure.
He was either going to buy that or like a 2005 Crown Vic.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
That's an old man car.
Well, see now,
Did they not have one in brown? Because I think that would also be
Yeah.
your color.
brown now. Brown's not my thing. Although now there is a daggone T-type that is a two-tone. It's a D84 car, which is brown and it's like a brownish and copper, two-tone, and it's it's a very rare color combination, and it is actually a nice looking car.
That was one of my favorite things to mess with Turbo John a little bit. Like the last version of the car, that was just straight brown.
Yeah.
He could
Yeah.
call that copper all he wanted. That was just brown.
Yeah.
The
that was
Saturn.
brown.
And I'd be like, why'd you paint it brown? He goes, it's copper. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
definitely brown.
Oh yeah, there you go. Well, so it goes back to that my original '87 T-type. I mean, it goes right back to that car because when I'm telling you, up until it's only been a couple of years ago, people were still asking me, about that car. You still got that T-type? You still got that car? And it was back. This was several years ago now. My garage caught on fire and the car was in there, and did a tremendous amount of smoke damage to the car. So nobody saw the car for God knows how long.
This is the same car?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. So when it's on the top
I
of the
didn't
roof.
realize that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and finally, Nikki finally was like, look, are you going to do something with this car or not?
Oh, is that the one you just did, like the
Yes.
liner and the
Oh, yeah.
hood and stuff? Okay, I was wondering why you were doing all that work to that crappy old car.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, you
Yes.
just
That'll
really
still,
just
that'll
said
still,
that.
just remember that crappy old car will still take that Mustang. Don't worry about that.
No,
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
That motherfucker bad.
Just don't
I'm not
be hating.
I'm not questioning the car. I'm questioning the driver.
Well,
I'll get in it.
one thing you definitely don't have to worry about is the driver that's over here can turn better than a 05 or 06 light.
Oh, I turned better than an 05 light.
So win. In your dreams, baby. That's about it.
About 2 years ago.
I was
So-
playing No Limit Drag Racing one time and went 003. So
Really?
y'all can't really say shit to me.
Oh. Well, see, so no matter what happens, if and when his Mustang ever gets fixed, he's got to do a 8 to 9 tenths faster car than mine in order just to like counteract what I'm going to do to him on the tree.
8 to 9 tenths.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll be past half track by the time he ever gets off the line.
Wow.
So, I could go get my black Buick out there, that 13 4-cylinder turbo, and he's still going to have trouble going around that.
That's fucked up.
So,
I don't know. I've been watching World Cup all weekend.
Oh my god!
And those
This
four
is
cylinders
insane.
are driving me nuts.
Listen, all right. So back in the day, we didn't get into this on the. Did we get into the fact that I used to like? That's kind of where I started.
Yeah,
with
you
the-
had a Honda
Okay,
Civic.
yeah.
Yeah, we talked about
Dude,
that for a little bit.
watching, I haven't watched all the live feeds, but I'm still friends with a lot of people that I used to race with back in the day when we raced Hondas. Dude, this is insanity. I have never seen this many cars
it's
blow
retarded.
up.
It's retarded.
Well, and they've already announced there's going to be
Yeah,
some
yeah, I
changes
saw
next
Jason
year for
Miller,
X
yeah.
front wheel drive. Because
Dude, it's crazy.
so like X front wheel drive, that class, like it'll come up. It's like a 32 car field.
Yeah.
And they had 50 cars enter it, right? They would come up, and it was just guaranteed at least 4 or 5 of them would just completely explode.
it was
going
like
down the track.
it was like every other pair of cars that went down, one or both of them was just grenading something.
Yeah, and then
It was
shut down the
insane.
track, clean up the
Clean it
entire
up.
track,
Mhm, for sure.
re-prep
Yeah.
it again, send them out there.
I've never seen
one
that much
one
cleanup.
pair, one pair might make it down, and then the next pair,
Clean
boom,
it up.
Yeah.
You're doing it again, and
And it's like, here's the thing. The thing about World Cup for like anybody that's never been is like World Cup is the place that like a lot of people don't go there to win the race. They go there because the track is one of the best surfaces you're going to race on all year, and the weather and the conditions are just perfect for setting records, right? So a lot of people go there for that. They don't necessarily go there to win.
Well, and
because
it-
it's just
it's also a badge to say I made it in.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
just making
So,
it in is that
you
hard.
know, to go there, man, like everybody's got their stuff on kill. So, you're going to expect stuff to come apart, but like they need to do something with the containment in these cars because
sure.
it's not working.
Well, either they need to do containment stuff or they just need to limit the boost. I think that's really what's costing it, because a lot of them are, they're trying to make like 80 pounds of boost, 90 pounds of boost on a little
cast block,
when and I know that they have the capability, because one of the rules that they had was, if you had a lockup, you had to have 200 pounds more. If you didn't have a lockup, it was this much. So for like Warriors versus Tres Cuatros,
Mm-hmm.
and so when they'd make their run, before they even went to the scales, John Sears was plugging in with a laptop
Yeah,
to see
I
if
saw that.
a lockup came on or not.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, they were pulling logs and
Yep.
checking tune-ups to see if you were engaged, if you had lockup stuff activated or not.
But I mean, it talking about that stuff is like, and we've seen this a lot, like with the guys at at Galat for that. I mean, they go in, they put everything into the car except for in containment, like to mess up stuff. I mean, let them do what they want, just make sure they're contained.
Well, the thing is, so they're required, and if I'm not mistaken, I haven't been to World Cup in a few years just because of how like ridiculous it's gotten. But if I'm not mistaken, in that class, you just have to have a pan.
You have to have a pan with a minimum lip on it.
Right, and it ain't working.
For that class specifically.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I mean, the way that these things are coming apart, dude, like
The shrapnel.
Well,
well, they're just disintegrating the blocks.
But
literally.
a great counterexample to it is today versus in first round of Renegade, right? Brett LaSala went down in Snot Rocket, and there was a
I saw that
brown RX-7 or tan RX-7
or whatever
it was
yeah.
next to him. When she threw the parachutes, pulled the car sideways. She lost control of the car. It tipped over and rolled end over end over end down the track. Just horrible situation. She got out of the car like within a minute. Like she was out. She was fine walking around. It took him 10 minutes to clean up the track from that. No fluid was down at all.
Yeah.
Right.
See, and that's the thing too, is that from my opinion, for safety, for anything safety advanced like that, I mean, that needs to be a mandatory thing. Mm-hmm. If it's, I mean, I was down there at Galat, and the guy, and I know the guy well, and he was driving somebody's, it was a G body, but that's about all I'm gonna say about that. But it exploded the planetaries, and about took the guy's foot off. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if you're trying to ride with no safety equipment, I mean, God forbid, I wouldn't want anybody to get hurt, like that. But I mean, at some point you have to kind of get your head together. I mean, and then this stuff is in there for a reason. Mm-hmm. So,
well, and that's on the driver, and it's a little bit on the guys that are around him that are helping him directly. Mm-hmm. Frey and Nick are a great example. They help me at the track all the time, but they have made it absolutely clear, like, we have to do this safely. Mm-hmm. And at certain points, when I've gotten fast enough, they've said, okay, here's the cutoff point. Either you do X, Y, and Z with the car to make it safer, or we don't show up to help.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that woman down there that I'm married to, she's made it absolutely clear, if I'm going to spend X amount on horsepower and go fast fun parts, I need to spend X amount on being safe.
And what did I tell you about that? What did I tell you about that?
I'm not sure what you told me about that. Which direction you're going?
I told you. No, the good thing.
I want to hear both directions.
Well,
now.
we're gonna go both directions, but
well, I'm not. You might.
No, not like that.
Go fast fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh? No, I told him. I said, you keep.
This got gay real quick.
Nope, not till you brought it there.
And there it is. Thanks, buddy.
I told him, I said, I said, you got a little girl.
Yeah.
I said, and no matter what, I said, that car or nothing you're doing is worth not coming home to that.
No, and you're absolutely right. That was one of the first things you said to me, and
you don't think about that stuff until you have kids a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Like, and she's pretty adorable. Y'all got to meet her tonight.
Yeah.
I'm, it ain't like that's the first time I met her. So.
No, I know you've met her before.
For sure.
Harry's first time meeting her,
but I mean, I told him that. From day one, And then the second thing I told him when it went the other way, I was like, you got to get fast enough to go need some of that stuff too. But, well, I mean, there was your second thing right there.
Well, I put the parachute on it before it was absolutely necessary. But, then I did run over 150 and then it was absolutely necessary.
Yeah, but the thing about a parachute, man, is people seem to think that parachute is like you only need one if you're going over like X mile an hour.
Nope.
And like
150 in the quarter, I think is
required.
But
the thing is, man, like for us, like, we do a lot of different kinds of racing. So like we do like no prep, front side, back side, radial stuff, like, a lot of different stuff, man. There's been plenty of times where me or other people I've raced with, man, you don't pull the parachute to slow the car down. You pull the parachute to straighten the car out.
Because it gets ugly.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people, they overlook the parachute thing just because they say, it's not fast enough to need it. But
a great example of the parachutes being absolutely necessary. Did you see that pass where Cletus made with the new body where the parachutes didn't come out? It was they were testing, so it was they made 2 passes without the body.
Yeah.
Then they put the body on, and the parachutes had to move farther back because of the body. When he went to throw the parachute at the end of the track, doing 205,
They didn't come out.
they didn't come out.
Yep.
Right, and he barely made the turn at the end.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, they're necessary.
Yep.
You know,
But if she gets squirrely, and she will, if you're
Mhm.
going fast enough or you get into something, she's gonna get squirrely.
I should have thrown the parachutes when the car blew up.
And then that parachute needs to come out because that is the only thing that'll keep you straight at like a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, it would have kept the car straight. You know, instead she went like that.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, it didn't hit the wall.
Yeah, I mean, whenever Problem Child did it to me the first time, it scattered it. It broke the bell housing. I mean, I saved one head out of the motor. That was it.
I was able to save my rods.
I saved one head. Everything else was toast.
Yep, same here.
And the only thing that saved that car was a parachute. And I rode like 2 inches off the wall on the driver's side and kept it out of the wall, but the parachute's what kept it, doing that. So, I've been a fan of that for day one. So,
yeah, well, and we're making some pretty big safety updates to the car. That's part of the reason it's in chassis jail is, part of it is getting the car lighter, but part of it is also I want that funny car hoop around me in case something bad happens, especially watching an event like World Cup Finals. Multiple people have flipped out on that track, this weekend. And it's, I mean, you can see the difference between a super safe car. Birdman. Did you see Birdman's wreck? Holy crap. He slid 500, 600 feet with that car.
Probably further than that.
Yeah. On his roof.
well, it's just like, it's to change the subject up a little bit, it's just like a motorcycle. There's 2 types of people who ride motorcycles. There's people who have been down and people who have not been down yet. So it's just how you deal with it whenever you do go down.
Yeah,
it's the same deal.
Yeah, you're either going to have an incident on track or you're going to have an incident on track.
Yep. Because it's going to happen one way or the other. I mean, when you start playing like that, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think I won't be adding some bars to mine over the winter.
Yeah. Well, because we had been talking about that, what changes you were going to make and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like I, honestly, as fast as I've already been in my car, like it doesn't have near enough cage in it. But like when that car was built, it wasn't built to be a race car, so it just accidentally went fast. But
yeah, we all joke about, it's going to be a street car that can kind of go on the track.
Well, my car, this car actually was. I mean, it was never built to be a race car. I mean, it was a show car. So like the entire bottom of the car it was done on a rotisserie, so it's painted under the bottom, and it just had like a 6-point chromoly cage in it, and like it was just never supposed to be what it is now. So over the winter, I'm gonna add a bunch of bars to it, do a funny car cage, and
that is kind of the part that frustrates me a little bit about the no time class is guys hide behind the no time moniker to skirt safety sometimes, and honestly, that's on the tracks, right? Because the track knows how fast you went. They at Galat, to have a minimum of a 4 or 6 point cage, it's a 636, I think is what the moment you go over that, they're like, hey, you need to have something in here, right? When I ran my first 630, they let me know about it, because the guy wouldn't hand me my ticket back, and he's like, "Hey, bud,
see, and the funny thing is, there anybody that watches this that runs Go Out?
Josh Peak watches it.
Okay, well, never mind.
Well, that probably was not a 636. So, he probably was just
a 637.
There you go. That's probably what the deal was for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I got kicked out. I got kicked out that day. They're like, hey,
but
bud,
that's
you need to have.
That's responsible on the track part, man.
And it should
that's
be.
what they should do.
I mean, it should be.
Yeah, and Galad is a sanctioned track, right?
That just means that they're taking your life more serious than you
are.
are.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
And it's some of these outlaw tracks that just let you do whatever, right? That's where I'm kind of like, hey, look, even though you're an outlaw track,
I don't know, man. I love that shit.
Now, see, where I have a problem with is that whenever they take their safety measures not into accountability enough that it's going to interfere with me, and whenever somebody else doesn't have this was way back in the day But we had a guy that, and he was a good guy. He was a really good guy. But I mean, there'd been more than one time I'd seen him in a bracket race, and he won. Now, understand this. But they would have to help him in his car because, I mean, whenever he got there, I mean, he was turning back some Bud Lights or whatever, and he kept turning them back. And I have witnessed them have to help him in his car because he couldn't get in it.
Man, there's been times, I ain't gonna say the person's name or the track we were at, but like we've been to certain tracks before. Probably been back when I had my wagon. We were doing a lot of like front side no prep stuff, where I watched a guy that like was in the finals had been drinking from the second that he got there, and the person he was supposed to run the finals with wouldn't even go up there and race him because the dude had been drinking the entire time, like literally the entire day.
And I would do the same thing.
I would do the same
absolutely.
thing. Be like, he's drunk off his ass. I'm not running the same lane. I'm not running the lane next to him.
And at that point right there, the track, and in my opinion, the track should have said, "Hey, it should have never got that far to start with."
Yeah.
But at that point, there
at the smaller tracks though, like the track officials they're not like in everybody's pits, like looking to see what this person's doing or that person. You know what I mean? Like to an extent, yeah. But like the other side of it is like this person's crew has been here watching this person drink all day long. They know better.
Mm-hmm. We were at a bracket race, and this was in the 90s, probably 96, 95.
Back in my day.
And I knew the guy really. I knew him pretty well, and he's like, well, I'm drinking 2 beers every round until I go out, and he said, because I want to go out because I want to go to the Long Branch. Okay,
you could have just not came here and started the day out there.
I said, just go to the Long Branch. No, I need to lose. I said, okay. Well, that last round right there, he ended up, I don't know how many beers he'd had. I'm going to say, let's say he had 6 or 8. I don't know. I'm thinking we're in the 4th round. So, I mean, that was at least 8. And, he went out, let go of the button. The Vega went left. He overcorrected it, and the Vega ended up, on his roof. And I was like, was that worth it? Because he had to make the phone call to his daddy and tell his daddy that he just tore the car all to pieces. I'm like, well, was it worth it?
In my opinion, no.
No, it wasn't.
No, I like a nice cold beer every now and then, but not while I'm driving.
There's a very large instance of where you need to slow your roll.
So. Yeah, and that's that's you as the driver have the responsibility to not do that. It's also, if you're helping a guy like that, you're just as liable as he is.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Or if you're a teammate and you see the other guy's driver doing that, speak up. You need to say something.
But at that point, they're not listening. They're totally, they're not going to listen.
Yeah.
At some point somebody has to take a stand and say, which I mean, as a friend, I mean that's gonna make them mad. But is their life worth it? That would be the question.
I'd rather them be mad at me than have to like go to their funeral
or call their wife and tell their wife and kid that they're gone.
Or somebody else. Such and such just hit somebody at the racetrack, and they're on their way to the hospital. They're fucked up. I'd rather them be mad at me.
One of the things I've given Nick and Frey permission to do is call it.
Yeah.
Right? If they see something that makes them uncomfortable, whether it's the track, the other driver, something with the car, me, they have permission to call it. Right? And I might be mad about it, but I've given them that power of like, look, if you guys aren't happy with it, we're going to call it. We're not going to send the car down there. Because the last thing I want is one of them to feel like, for something to happen to me on track and them go, I felt like we shouldn't have done it, but I thought Nate would be mad.
Yeah.
Right? It's like no. They're both far more experienced than I am, so they have the right to do that.
That would be a phone call they would have to make and say, Nate decided to overrule us on this, and now Nate is no longer with us. So, I mean, that's a phone call I wouldn't want to make.
No.
For sure.
And they've both said that out loud several times. We do not want to call your wife and say, hey, Nate's headed on his way to the hospital because he's a dumbass. And that, to be fair, those two. That's exactly how they'd say it too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit nicer, but
Nah.
nah.
Probably just like that.
definitely not.
I can hear Frey right now. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You need to chill.
Your dumbass husband. Da-da-da.
You need to stop.
Ooh, did I tell you about Frey's recent
Which one?
the driving to Alabama?
No. I'm curious. I'll have to call him and ask him.
Oh no, I'll tell you about it right now. I'm gonna put it right here on the podcast.
Hey, Frey, I hope you're watching this because
He is definitely watching this.
Well,
He's
good
definitely
deal.
watching this. So
Hey, do you ever do any of these live, by the way?
we are going to do one live when we get to 1,000 subscribers.
Okay.
That's what we decided we're going to do. I want to do the 1,000th episode. I want to do called the Shit Talkers podcast. I want to get Shannon on for it. And a couple other guys are just really good at just talking out their ass. I'm not sure who we're going to pick just yet for the other ones. Chris Pittman's pretty good at talking out his ass.
Yeah.
John Dock is amazing at talking out of his ass. He doesn't know it, but
No, he knows.
When he was on here, he told me he had 3 3-second cars. I said, "What was the first one?" And he didn't like that. But no. So Frey called me and he goes, "Hey, can I borrow your truck, my F-250?" And I said, "Sure. What do you need for it?"
Was this recent?
A couple months, 2 months ago?
Okay.
And he goes, "I need to tow a car." And I said, "Oh, okay," because he's got that little Colorado. It can't tow anything. And I said, "Okay, cool. Do you need to borrow my trailer?" He goes, No. I'm going to borrow Mike's. My neighbor over here, he's got an open aluminum trailer. He goes, "I'm going to borrow that. It's going to be a little easier to get the car on and off." I said, "Okay, great." I was like, "When do you need it?" He goes, "This was on a Monday." He goes, "Can I borrow it Thursday evening? I'll go get the car and I'll bring it back to you." I said, "Yeah, sure." Right. Shows up Thursday evening.
You didn't ask him where he was going, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
That was a
That's where you fucked up.
that was a critical error. So he shows up. And I'm like, "Hey, where are you going to? What time can I expect you back?" And he goes, "I'm going to Alabama." Now, what you guys don't know, I just rebuilt the truck like less than 20 miles before that.
Which is what's funny is I'm kind of surprised he was going to take that to Alabama.
Yeah, like cab off, heads off,
Yeah.
everything.
Is it
Like
6.0?
it's
Yep.
a 6.0.
Okay.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
when we got into the tune, the guy that had tuned it had just jacked it up. It was like all the boost, all of it.
You know how them tuners are.
Yeah, all them tune.
Who are you talking about, bro? Me.
And so that was a shock to me that he was going to Alabama.
Diesel tuners. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a
You know.
diesel, dude. You literally just open the injectors 100% and just pin the gate closed.
Yeah.
It's diesel.
Yeah. It had cracked a head. It was also a shock to Mike with the open trailer that it was going to Alabama, but it was too late at that point to be like, actually. Right? So he leaves. Right? And I call him at like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" He goes, "Oh, I'm about 2 hours away from where I'm going, almost there. I'm going to pick up." It was his nephew he was picking up. He's like, "I'm going to pick up my nephew. We're going to turn around. We're going to come right back."
It wasn't in Greenbow, was it? Greenbow, Alabama?
I have no idea. I feel like there's a story there. I don't know.
He missed it.
You sure missed it. Make sure y'all put a little comment on there and tell Nate what he missed.
Okay.
Rainbow, Alabama.
When I woke up in the morning, I called him around 7:30, see how things were going, and they were on the way back. He'd picked up his nephews on the way back. I'm like, "Okay, cool." Around 8:30, I get a call to my phone.
Cracked head.
No. I get a call to my phone from a number I didn't notice. It came in on my business line. "Hello, it's Nate with VDH Plumbing." "Nate, this is Mrs. Frey's last name." He doesn't want me to say it on the podcast.
Because there's so many phrases out there.
Yeah, he just doesn't want me to say it.
It
So.
might as well be a neon sign pointing to
Yeah.
him right now.
Yeah.
Cause,
So Frey's wife calls me, and she's just like, "Frey never came home last night. We haven't talked to him. I don't know what's going on. And I know he was at the track with you last night." So, because this was a Thursday, he goes, so she's like, "Just wondering, have you been talking to him? Do you know what's going on?"
Bro, he went to Alabama and didn't tell his wife?
No.
What the fuck?
oh, Lord.
No.
That'd be a death sentence right,
Right?
there.
Now, remember,
Oh, man.
I've called him 3 times now, and he's answered the phone every single time as soon as I called him.
I bet he ain't answering it now.
right? And she's like, I've been calling. He won't pick up. He's not picking up. We're afraid something's wrong with him. I was like, no, no, Frey's fine. He just borrowed my truck to go pick up a car, and it goes from concern to anger like that.
Oh, well, you know.
And she goes, where? I was like, I don't know.
Oh no, that was the where's he
Imagine,
at now?
imagine you're the asshole that's got to tell this man's wife, oh, he went to Alabama.
Yeah, I chose to take the coward's route and go, I don't know where he is, but I know he's fine, and he said he's going to be back today.
Well, he just asked to borrow the truck.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's all I asked is, I mean, I just let him borrow the truck. I mean, where he said he was going, I really didn't ask.
But then
so.
for me, it got worse because his son then grabbed the phone from his wife, and he's in full tears because he thought Frey was dead. Right?
Oh, man.
And now he's learned his dad is okay, but not answering the phone. So he's just like, and like he's talking to me, and I'm like, brother, he's fine. He's gonna be home today. You don't need to worry about it. Whatever, right? And I'm like, look, he'll call you here in just a couple minutes. Don't worry about it.
I will see to that.
Yeah. So I hang up with them. I pick up the phone, call Frey instantly, and he goes, "Hey man, what's going on?" I was like, "Call your effing wife."
And he's going, nah, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, he goes, "Dear Lord,"
because I am not listening to what I'm gonna have to listen to. So it ain't happening.
Oh man, yeah, I saw him. I saw him last week, and he's just like, he's like, I'm finally out of the doghouse. Took him 2 months. He's finally out of the doghouse. I was like, oh my god. I was like, Frey, just tell her where you're going.
What in the world?
Just tell her. And basically his reasoning behind it was, that part of the family she's not the biggest fan of, whatever. I'm like, I don't care. At the end of the day, you tell her where you're going.
She called me.
Yeah. What she had was Google.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
she called me.
She Googled Nate Scheibner, VDH plumbing popped up, and she went, number.
And I'm calling it.
Yeah. And actually, the worst part for me was when she called, she got my assistant, Susan, my office manager, and that traitor just handed over my number.
Oh, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Fire her.
Although she was, because she knew what was getting ready to happen if she didn't.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't want to be the responsible
No.
party.
Yeah, she was like getting herself out of that one instantly.
Because it was like, what was that, like that old reference to the Poltergeist movie? He said, hey, little Caroline's in the, TV set. Get out. Oh, we got to go.
Get out.
I am not going here.
Yeah, so we have been giving Frey a lot of shit.
Well, I'm glad if you should have told me this earlier, because I could have assisted that.
Oh, you still can.
Oh, no, it's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Every time we've seen him since then, we'll be like, nope, you don't have your ass back yet.
There you go. There you go.
She took your ass off.
Or better than that is I'm going to call him tonight and I'm going to be like, hey, cuz, hey, there's a car I want to go look at. You want to go with me to look at it? He'd be like, yeah, where's it at? It's in Alabama.
Click.
I can just hear it right now.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Actually, you want to call him on the podcast and we'll see what he says about it?
Oh, well.
Nah,
no, you should. You should.
No,
My phone's over there.
No, we're not going to do that.
Oh, come on. Give him a call.
No,
Just give him a call.
No, we ain't going to do that.
Right. He's still working right now.
I know, but still.
Oh, come on.
No, because we can't bleep out all them. You
Yeah, you don't know what I can do.
Exactly. So
yeah, I'm still working on the edit for his podcast. It's taking me forever.
Man, I reined it in, okay?
You did. I was very proud of you.
My parents would be proud.
I told Nikki the other day. I said, it's not like it's intentional whenever Harry says it. I mean, he just doesn't. It just happens. He doesn't realize he says it.
Yeah.
So
I don't even know the words are coming out of my mouth most of the time, man.
It's like saying the word like.
I mean,
Yeah.
it just happens.
Yeah.
Nikki goes, and I'm gonna sit there and count how many times you say and I'm like, okay, whatever.
But the hardest part for me is I have to listen through it like multiple times
To make sure you catch them all.
Yeah, I hate.
Hey, I just want to go on record and say he's dropped the F-bomb more times tonight than I have.
I think it's. I think I can like count them here now. I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah, no, I hate my voice.
So now Nikki's going to be like, okay,
Nikki's gonna be like,
he
did really well.
but
today.
you're going to have to talk to Nate.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you got to tell him he's going to shut up.
Oh man, I had a sad but proud parent moment a couple weeks ago. I think I told you about it or not. My daughter, who's almost 2, right, had a bowl of chips and was walking with the bowl of chips, which I immediately told my wife that was a poor idea. Why did you give her a bowl of items that can just be dropped on the floor? So she walks and, of course, drops the bowl of chips on the floor. Chips go everywhere. And she looks down and goes, shit. And I was disappointed because she's learned the word shit.
I got one better than that.
From me. But I was proud because she used it in the appropriate context.
See, I thought it was whenever she told him, she said, "I'm not driving that Mustang." She said, "I need a Camaro." I thought that was what he was talking about.
You remember that story I told you about Emma when Emma was like, I think Emma was probably like 3 years old, man. She wanted to watch something on TV before she went to bed, right? So like at the time I was married, so like we're sitting on like my bed, and Emma's sitting there, and the dog was chewing her toy. And I happened to see it out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, oh, shit, he's chewing a toy, right? She stands up, like 3 years old, bro. She's so proud. She stands up, and she looks at me. She said, he's chewing my fucking toy. I was like, you know the Gerber baby where it's like, you're so proud. But at the same time, it's like, hey, don't say that ever again.
But now keep in mind, she is the sweetest thing.
Yeah, like she's never said another bad word since then. She knows the difference. Like you could tell her to say whatever curse word you wanted to. You could go up to her and tell her to say it, and she says no. And she'll be 7 in June. So at 6 years old, this kid will not say any bad words.
I had a nephew that had a really bad lisp for a while, and
my son's like that.
Some of the stuff he said, like obviously he doesn't.
You want him to say it twice so you can record it the second time.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he kept trying to say dump truck.
Oh yeah.
Did not come out dump truck.
My son's like that.
Well, that's a whole different situation.
Or fire truck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man.
That's funny, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah. So your current car is Problem Child 2.
Broken.
Well, yeah, that
still doesn't.
It's not broke. It's not broke. Let's clarify that. It's not broke.
It is not currently assembled.
It desperately needed some stuff in the chassis department, and it was taken apart to do that. It's not broke.
And literally all we're waiting on is the fabricator to get it done.
No, we're waiting on me to fix something on a fuel cell that I didn't fuck up.
That is true. It
was shipping damage.
It was,
I guess,
for sure.
And Billy to not be out here doing softball every day.
Hey, that is a totally separate. That is a complete podcast on its own, but it wouldn't be on everything in racing.
I know.
Yeah, I'll say you're literally wearing your softball stuff.
Exactly. I'm in softball gear right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But now it just is. It's the current child. It's a Problem Child 2 car. It's a
Buick Regal.
It's
what
Regal.
Year?
It's 87.
87 Buick Regal.
And it was never. I mean, hell, the car was never designed. We never designed it to be where it's at. I mean, it was a. I wanted to. It was a substitute to get my OG car back in place. And the OG car is. It should. Which, I mean, there's friends of mine that say it'll never go down the track. They're wrong. It may not go.
It's pretty much ready now, other than being tuned.
Yeah, it needs to be. I need to finish bleeding the brakes and tune it, and it's ready to rock and roll.
Weren't you trying to buy back the original Problem Child?
Yes, and if he would sell it to me, I would buy it back. So it's local. Mm-hmm. I mean, we could drive 20 minutes, and I could go show you the car.
So it's not in Alabama.
No, it's not in Alabama.
All right, well, that's what we need to tell Frey.
Yeah.
That the car got sold to a guy in Alabama, and
I
that
need to go,
guy
and I need to go get it.
Yeah.
But I would buy that car back because that was mine and my dad's first car. Mm-hmm. That was our first race car, and to be really honest, I won a lot of money in that car. I mean, a lot of money.
I was just going to tell you, if you ever bought that car back, I'm not going bracket racing with you.
I won a lot of money in that car. So, and that's part of the reason why I hated that dragster so bad. You go from winning $3,000 to $7,000 a month and to spending $3,000 to $7,000 a month. It kind of takes a tune like.
I haven't won nearly that amount of money ever.
Well, with an 09 Light, you ain't going to. So,
Jeez.
I don't know, man. You got enough horsepower. It's possible.
I'm sorry. 06 Light. Never mind.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? That's 3/10 right there.
No, that last year racing frustrated the crap out of me because I had to do foot brake for the class I was in. I was like, foot brake is stupid.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
foot brake's still fun.
It's still fun, and we've found our way of getting around it. My transmission converter guy, when I told him we had to go to foot brake, he's like, well, why do you have a turbo 400 and you're doing foot brake? And I was like, because that's what the rules are. That's what I have to do. And he goes, I'll fix it. I was like, what do you mean you're going to?
There you go.
So what do you mean you're going to fix it? He goes, don't worry about it. Didn't tell me, right? And
sometimes ignorance is a blessing. So
called me one day and said, your transmission converter's ready. Come get it. I said, okay. Put it in the car. And he said, when you take it to the track, call me. Okay. So we go to Glot. I call him. And I'm like, hey, we're here at the track. What do you want me to do? And he goes, just step on it.
Let it go.
He said, don't build it up. Don't stand on the brakes before you go. Nothing. He said, just step on it.
And that's the best I ever seen that car run, to be really honest.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the best I ever seen it run.
I stepped on it. Front wheels came about that far up off the ground. I had to shift it about 60 feet out. And I called him, and I was like, what the fuck did you do? And he goes, I put a 275 first gear in it.
There you go.
And a really tight stall. I was like,
there you go.
There you go.
So, but yeah, that was, if I could buy that car back, I would, I mean, providing it wasn't astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it was a deadly bracket car. Mm-hmm. I mean, and there's been a lot of stuff done to it since then. And the chassis guy that's worked on it since then, he is a great chassis guy. I will tell you that. I mean, I wouldn't hesitate at anybody to get in something that this guy's built because he is that damn good.
Yeah.
So, so I know that the chassis only gotten better, and it would be it would be on point.
Mm.
So, I mean, I would certainly do that.
Yeah, I've been talking to Jason Brazel about coming on here a couple times.
Yeah.
And he's going to do it, but getting him nailed down is kind of hard.
Yeah, well, worse than me, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Coleman Heath is worse than you.
Well,
yeah. He keeps saying he's going to come on, and then we'll push it off and push it off and push it off.
Right. So Problem Child 2, going back to that, is that it was a substitute for the OG car, because the OG car, I was in paint jail, and I changed my mind three or four times with that car, on what I wanted to do. I'd do it and I wouldn't like it. So I'd redo it again until I liked it.
He sounds like a woman.
You remember that Matchbox car thing?
He said that. He said that. And, I would change this and I wouldn't like it. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it till I like it. I'm going to do it till it's exactly what I wanted. So, I mean, it's rather substantially different than it was, back then. So that Problem Child 2 was going to just be a LS1 car with just a regular 5.7 LS1, put some noisy exhaust on it.
See how that snowballed.
Exactly. And I wasn't planning on doing a cage. I wasn't planning on doing anything. It was just going to be a nice driving, something to play with, car. And then I ended up getting a good deal on the motor that's in the car, and something struck me on the head, and I lost my damn mind. Mm-hmm. And it went completely retarded after that. So, and it hasn't stopped yet. So, I mean, the last thing that we did with it was, here he goes. We need another hole. We need to raise that bar. We need to make another hole.
Well, so the problem with the car is like when he put this motor in, but it still had like factory torque boxes and stuff in it, right? And it had like some. Did it have Viking double adjustables?
It had Viking double adjustables.
Like some just like standard Viking double adjustables, and like anybody that knows G bodies, like the rear shocks are like this, right?
The G body shuffle.
Well, and the problem was like as hard as we needed to hit this thing, being as heavy as it was on a radial, like you couldn't slow the rear down enough
because it was violent.
To control it, and we needed to put torque boxes and good set of coilovers and something with some better valving in it, and then it just kind of snowballed.
You went through like 3 sets of tires in like 3 weeks at one point. It was
stupid.
Just trying and trying and trying. Yeah,
and it was. So I mean, I called Marty at Merlette Racing, and I was like, "Look," I said, "This is what I'm thinking," and I asked Harry what he thought. He said, "Well, that's that's some nice stuff right there," And Marty said, he said, most of the car. I said, "Here's what I'm wanting to do with the car," and I said, you know, and I said, feel free. I said, I'm not sensitive, so you can tell me I'm gonna crack if you want, you know. And he said, nope. He said, with this rear suspension set up on here, he said, I got guys that do this all the time. He said, so don't worry about it.
So it has like basically everything. So we did their upper and lower torque boxes, lower control arm brackets, back brace, and a roll bar.
Mm-hmm. The complete bracket kit for
everything on it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I mean, it's super nice.
Yeah, we're gonna add some bars to the upper torque boxes, tie the cage into it, and tie the lowers in. We got stuff to tie the lowers in also, I think.
And then the lower bracing underneath the car too.
Yeah.
So, but it's
which now at the time though, when it was done, the car had full like 4-inch exhaust all the way out the back, so we couldn't set the car down low enough to get like with the factory boxes in it to get the bar angles like where we needed them. So, but then the rules to it changed.
Yeah,
it changed
it
for
changed.
turbo cars where you didn't have to have full exhaust. So,
well, and it wasn't that giving you a little bit of trouble too, having the full exhaust all the way to the back was.
No, I mean,
giving you a little bit of like boost problems or something.
The biggest problem that I had wasn't exhaust; it was the way the turbo kit was set up. You know, and the turbo that I had on the car was really too small for the car. I mean, the backside of it was really too small.
That thing's gigantic.
No, not that one.
No, not that turbo.
The original.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how me and Billy met
for sure.
Yeah,
So,
I was going to get to that.
yeah.
I was like, how did this happen?
So,
you two are so cute.
I don't even know how did you even get my phone number?
So
I don't even know.
I bought the scales that I bought from some guy in Clayton. I mean, he does race car stuff, roundy round stuff.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't remember how we come up, and he said, well, I hired a guy to do some welding for me that I had to do for some pharmaceutical company. And he said he was doing some welding for me. He said he does roll cages and stuff like that. I was like, okay, cool. So I called him back.
I just got like a random phone call one day. I wasn't even going to answer it. I usually don't answer random phone.
And
numbers.
now he wishes he has it.
Well, so I told him there's a funny story, man. So I did your car. And like I said, so I'm not a type of person that like I don't go out of my way to like make friends with people, right? So, like this, like I pretty much stay to myself. I don't really try to like. I'm a very introverted person for the most part. Probably doesn't seem like that at the racetrack, but like how it is, man. Like you get anybody in their element and they kind of like open up, right? But for the most part, like. I don't go out of my way to make friends with somebody. So, like, I did Billy's turbo kit, and to me, that's, like, at the time, that was all it was. I was like, I did his turbo kit, and he come to pick his car up, and he fucking called me, dude. And I was like, this one time I was in the house, and Billy called me, and I looked at my wife at the time, and I was like, this fucking guy won't stop calling me. I guess he thinks we're fucking friends or something. And that was like, what, 2 or 3 years ago now?
It's
like,
definitely been a while ago, for sure.
And like now, like, I don't know, man. Billy knows, like, shit I'm going through. Like, I've had some fucking tough days where, like, I was just literally, like, ready to just end it all. And, like, fucking phone would ring and it was Billy. And I'm here.
Walk you back from a precipice.
Yeah, like I'm not even joking, man. Like I've gone
sure.
into some of the stuff with him. Like I'm literally like just the shit that I'm going through, man. Like I'm just a lot of days, man. I'm at that point, and like I can go like a month or so without even talking to him, and then like, man, I'll have one of those fucking days and my phone rings and it's him. And I don't know.
Well, it's just and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is from that perspective, but like, I know that if his boat's sinking, I can tell you right now, if his boat is sinking, and I got the damn 5-gallon bucket to come in and help him get his boat like so it don't sink, I said I'm going to go there, and I mean if it means, helping him get off the ledge he's on or whatever, because I mean the stuff he's going through is like no joke.
Yeah.
I honestly, the thought does go through my head how he's remained, sane. And I'm gonna put some quotes up here, sane.
Yeah.
Going through everything it has, because
like I joke about a lot about it to some people, but like, it's. I mean, it's
substantial.
Yeah,
it's substantial.
If we don't joke about some of this stuff, we end up crying.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, like that's just how you cope with it. I think, and.
But no, all joking aside, if my man right here calls me and says, "Hey, dude, can you come pick me up at whatever," I mean, I'm going. And, and my wife would tell you the same thing. She'd say she wouldn't say a word about it because she don't have to because she knows I'm going. And I mean, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. And like, I'm not always a good friend to like my friends in the sense that like, man, I'm not the person, I don't like pick the phone up and call people, like I just don't do that. Not that like I don't care what other people have going on or anything, but like the shit that I've been going through for the past, like since April of last year, the way that it's progressed and like, dude, I can't put other people's problems on my plate at this point in my life. Not that their stuff's not relevant, but like it makes me a shitty friend to them because like, some of these people, man, they call me and they, talk to me about how like my stuff's going or whatever. And like, I don't do the same, but it's like nothing against them, but
But I mean, at what point, I mean, this is really drastically turned a turn, but at what point do a friend knowing what you're going through?
Yeah.
I mean, at what point does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if they are a friend, I mean, they know what's happening.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. I mean, anybody that's like, close to me, they know for the most part, but,
Yeah,
I
I mean, and that's partially, like a little bit, if someone is a good friend to you, you're going to be on their brain, and
yeah.
I have one or two friends that they're not going through the crap you're going through,
Yeah.
but they are going through stuff in their life, and they'll pop into my brain. I'll go, hey, and when they pop in, I just pick up the phone and go,
Yeah.
and that's kind of,
hey man, what's going on?
That's kind of the way it happens.
I got a buddy
what's going
of
on
mine-
with life?
Yeah, I mean, I got a buddy of mine in Georgia, well, Alabama, Georgia, wherever Matt lives now. But like, man, he'll call me sometimes, and it's the same thing, man. He just like he knows everything. Like we've been friends. Me and Matt have been friends for like probably like 10 years now, if I had to put a number on it. And like still to this day, like I'm doing a car for him right now, and like sometimes, man, he'll call me, and it's like, and I'm bad about it, man. He would tell you like I don't, half the time he calls me, I don't even answer the phone, not because I don't want to talk, but I know he's calling to like talk about the shit I got going on, and like, dude,
And to make sure you're okay.
yeah, and like,
Well,
man,
I get that. I have a friend, Elijah. He won't mind if I say his name.
Yeah,
He's up in Pennsylvania. Nobody knows him. He has made some dumbass decisions in his life.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. Some stuff that I'm not going to go into. I'm not going to air out his dirty laundry.
yeah,
For sure.
But it was before he made the decisions. He asked his close group of friends, me and two other guys, "What do you think?" And we told him, "Don't do this. Don't do this. This is a mistake. The situation that you're trying to get into is not. It's not good for you." Right? He made that decision. He got into that situation. Turned out wasn't for him. Wasn't the right thing for him. He made other decisions, and it went downhill from there. Right? He called me like 2 years ago saying, "Hey man, I did this, and this, and now this is happening."
Yeah.
I can fill it in later when it's not on the podcast.
Yeah.
But and I said, "All right, brother, I love you. We told you this was the wrong decision. Here's what you need to do, right? And also, just so you know, next time I see you, I'm going to punch you in the face." And he goes, "Really?" I was like, "Because I told you if this is the direction it went, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
You did it. This is how it went." So, and I haven't seen him since then. We're going to meet up here in a little bit, and I think he's forgotten that I told him that.
He would punch him live on the podcast.
And I told him, I was like, "I love you to death. I love you like a brother. I've known him. Him and I have known each other since we were in diapers. Right?
Yeah.
We are like brothers."
As the metal chair over here to my right is WWE, and
Yes.
somebody gets whacked with that.
Yeah, man. But like I was like, "Look, I love you, brother. You're a dumbass, and I am gonna punch you in the face when I see you. I love you, but also you had the responsibility to make good decisions, But now I still call him to check in on him, make sure that he's
Well, 9 times
He's
out of
good.
10, like, man, most of the time when we end up in situations, man, like, let's be honest, somebody probably told us not to do what led us there, right?
I can't think
You
how
know
many
what I-
times I've been told not to
You
do
know what I
stuff.
mean?
I mean,
Like-
that's a lot.
But that's life, though. Like, you gotta figure shit out for yourself.
Sometimes that's the best. that's the best education that you're going to get
Yeah.
at that some point.
And as you've pointed out, and you've pointed out as well, kids make a huge change to your
Yeah, for
life.
sure.
They have a way of like reorienting the way you look at everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely, talking about that, that's been kids have been a really dramatic driver for me.
I think anybody that has kids that actually loves their kids would say that.
It has for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, talking about I made a reference to motorcycles earlier, Nikki and I both rode. And, she was pregnant with Elaine, and we had it was nothing bad at the time, but we had a small issue at the beach, at Bike Week. And Nikki said, "I'm not riding anymore." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Well, if you're not riding anymore, I'm not riding anymore." So, and I missed the mess out of it. But I have not rode a motorcycle since my daughter was born.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, so like did I ever tell you? Did I tell you the story about the motorcycle thing when I was on last time? When I was on 95,
I don't think so.
I think I could have sworn I brought it up.
Maybe you did bring it up.
Yeah. So, I long story short, I was on 95, and
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so I never got on a motorcycle from that day on. I never got back on one. And kids will do that, man. Like, well, you don't think about stuff until you've got kids.
You're exactly right.
All the dumb shit that you do, you don't realize how dumb it really is until you've got a child at home that you have to keep alive.
Yes, and I would repeat what you said earlier. If you're a good person,
correct?
Right?
Yeah.
If you're a good person, that's how you're gonna think.
Yeah,
right?
Which is fucking crazy because like there's all these shitty parents out there that like somehow just like have it made, and they still fucking see their kids all the time and treat their kids like shit, and somehow like they're still parents 365 days out of the year.
And then I'm going to take it from here is then you have the parents who are really trying to fight to keep their kids, and just every single thing that happens is just sucks. They're fighting for every minute that they get. And they're literally crawling and scratching for every minute that they get. And then some person is continuing to make it just unbearably difficult. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. And it's crazy, man. And like courts allow it to happen. Like family courts just allow it to happen.
Yeah. Well, this has completely changed where the podcast
yeah,
exactly.
It's like everything but racing.
But look, we're a bunch of guys. We can admit this.
Yeah.
Courts, when it comes to kids, it's all in favor of the mom, right? Like
yes and no. So I'll say this just because so my daughter's 6 years old now, right? She'll be 7 next year in June. I went through a custody battle with my daughter when her mom took her from me when she was 2 weeks old. Okay. When I went to court with her, I battled her in court. I lost everything I had. Like when I say everything, I had just bought my first house. I was like, I've always done well for myself as far as my day job goes. I had just bought my first house. I was like riding around the E55 AMG Mercedes. I had a turbo 6-speed Silverado. Like I was okay. I was good, and I lost all of it, every bit of it. I had to move back in with my parents at like, I don't even know how old I was, like what, 26 or 7 years old. I lost it all. But I was fortunate enough to be in a county that was more geared to a 50-50 split, and I got a judge that actually cared to see a father in a child's life. And now, I was married, and this woman never met my daughter's mom, and now I'm in Johnston County, which is a county that could care absolutely less about a father. Does not care. It's a money scheme. Like, all they care about is making sure that either the court's pockets are lined, or that the attorney's pockets are lined, or that the mother's pockets are lined with child support, and you don't ever get to see your kid. And man, I've depleted like every bit of money that I've had. I've worked, like, I don't know if Doc would even tell you, man, like I worked countless hours at Doc's shop doing side work for them to be able to see my son.
Well, now let's be specific here. He's worked 15 or 20 minutes here, 15 or 20 minutes there, and all of the side money from his, 15 or 20 minutes to 15 to 20 minutes is what he uses for that. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. Like it's so county dependent and judge dependent on whether like your existence as a father lies in the judge's hands.
Sure does. For sure.
100%.
For sure.
Yeah. It's the whole system and how it's set up. It's just crazy how anti-male, I guess, like just father male that it is, right?
Yep, it is.
Because I might cut this bit out, right? But we're your choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
you have no decision-making authority at that point.
No.
Yeah. As I said, I might cut that bit out.
Yeah,
of the podcast,
probably a good idea.
Yeah, but it's like
it's true.
Anytime that talking about we're joking about my fuel cell and stuff like that. But Harry's like, well, he goes, yeah, I got the kids at the weekend. I'm like, and you know what my answer to that would be?
Spend your time with them.
I'd spend your time with the kids.
Yep.
It's not even, it's not, there's, it's all perspective, it's, some things are important. Some things are not. So
it's
in the grand scheme of things.
The other day I was getting on the fabrication shop that's working on my car for everything taking too slow, right? I was getting ready to send them a message. And I pull up my Facebook and they've been in the hospital all day with their son who broke his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Last thing I'm going to do is send them a message saying, hey, why isn't my shit done?
Exactly. Exactly. There's certain things that are more important, certain things that just are, irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, So, I completely get it. And it's, if, even though things really wouldn't be any different right now, except for the car would be sitting in the trailer. That would be really about it, because, my path has changed drastically. And y'all bust my balls all day about me being on the softball field all the time.
That's just fun.
And
it's easy.
It is what it is. So, it's a decision that I am 100% okay with.
Mm-hmm.
And,
like that being said, so like part of the reason why I'm in the situation that I'm in now is I've said this before to my son's mom, but like, man, when we were together, I 100% took advantage of the fact that I had a person at home that was going to take care of the kids so that I could go race. Right? Like she never went with me. She went to the track like I could count on one hand. So like I completely took advantage of that. And like, dude, I was racing, like this. I was racing like 3 weekends out of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't care where it was. We were racing. And like then when things like really went south and I like kind of just decided that like the marriage was falling apart and I wasn't willing to deal with the stuff that was going on, then probably about, I don't know, man, like 6 months after we actually split up is when it really hit me that like I missed a lot of stuff with my kids, and I missed a lot of stuff with my daughter because of it was a different situation. Like I battled her mom in court for 9 months. I didn't see my daughter until she was 3 months old. So like that whole first like 3 months of that child's life that's like where you gain that huge attachment. I missed all of that. Like you can't make up for that. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot make up for the time that you lost with your kid, right? Mm-hmm. And then when we split up with my son, it took me probably a solid 6 months to realize that like I did take advantage of that. I missed a lot of stuff. I missed, seeing my son, figure out he had a tick for the first time. You know what I mean? He's sitting in the bathtub playing with himself.
Hey, what is this?
You know what I mean?
But
like,
thing?
I like it, but I didn't see that stuff. I'm just using it as an example. But like, I saw videos of it. You know what I mean? Like, she would send me a video, and like the whole time I was like, God, this bitch is fucking annoying me, right? Texting me and stuff, and like, obviously, like Billy, that we absolutely do not belong together, right? But I missed all of that stuff, but I didn't realize that until about 6 months after we split up. we don't belong together as far as the marriage goes, but like I missed all of that stuff with my kids, and I'll never get that back. So like now, like people ask me like, well, why aren't you going racing this weekend? Like, man, I still do fab work on the side. I won't touch somebody's car if it's at my house when I've got my kids. I typically don't answer the phone if it's somebody calling me needing something done when I've got my kids. I don't work on my own car when I have them, and if I do, I load my car. I don't even work on it at my own house. I load my car up and I go to my parents' house with it, and I'll do something if I need to do it at their house, so that either they can hang out with me in the garage or in my dad's shop while I've got somebody that can keep an eye on them, or they can hang out with my parents if I need to do something. But like, man, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've even done that in the past year. Like, I don't even touch my own shit. I don't.
Very minimal.
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
I don't. I think I've had my kids at the racetrack 3 times maybe in the past year.
But see, let me tell you about Emma. No, I'm gonna tell you what a sweet little young lady this is now. Okay, so this was at my shop last time. So Emma was there, and I said, well, I said, you got TV up and stuff like that. We can put some TV on and, let her watch some TV and stuff. And,
Got that little alcove they can hang out.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, go ahead, Harry. And he was doing his thing. And, I was trying to help him. And Emma comes over there and reaches over and grab my hands. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Do you need to change the channel? She's like, no, I want you to come watch TV with me.
Yeah.
So while Harry was over there working, my job
Was to go watch TV?
was to go watch TV with Emma.
Yeah, we're watching Bluey.
Yes, we were watching Bluey.
Fuck them torque boxes.
But
I guess
that's what she wanted to do.
Here's a better question. Was it more helpful to have him not in your way than to have him there helping?
Honestly, like Billy's like one of the. So Billy started out as a customer, and then Billy's. I would honestly, I would never tell anybody Billy's a customer of mine anymore. Billy's probably one of the best friends that I have. I don't even know if I've ever even told him that, but like he is one of those people.
Don't worry,
that,
we
like,
won't tell him.
I know.
Hey, we'll delete
one of
that.
those
We'll
people,
delete that shit out.
Yeah, but like
It goes straight to his head.
Billy will tell me, hey, like I need to do XYZ on my car. It's ready. All you need to do is just come weld it up. And like, dude, 9 times out of 10, when somebody says that, you've got a laundry list of shit you have to do before you can actually just go weld something up. But like, man, I show up and Billy's got like the torque boxes are in the car. Everything's already measured. He's already placed them where they go. They're clamped in. Everything's clean. It's literally ready for me to just weld. So like, he doesn't even need to help me with anything. He's already done it all.
Nice.
I mean, it's whatever I tell you, it's ready to rock and roll. It's ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's like whenever we're doing the front motor plate on the car, I said, it's ready.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, I'll be there in 30 minutes.
So, and like some of the times, man, like we were doing all of that in the midst of like, I would leave from Doc's shop.
We're going to cut that out right there.
No, we're going to leave that.
No, we're going to cut that out because that definitely needs to cut. That needs to be cut out.
I would leave from Doc's shop working until like, dude, it'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning, and Billy would say that like something is ready to weld, and I would go over there and weld it up on my way home from working at Doc's shop. Like I was literally working like 20 hours a day.
I still need to meet Doc. I've never met Doc.
Oh no,
John.
He's
John
talking about John Doc.
Oh, John Doc.
Yeah, he's not talking about Doc Bilber.
No, I was referring to your Doc.
His Doc.
Yeah,
You're talking about Doc Bilber.
Different Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're going on an hour and 35 minutes here
Oh, Lord.
for your 20 minutes of
Hey, I
things you
told
said
you.
you had to say.
I told you,
Yeah, you only had 20 minutes to say in about an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, you know.
So we're gonna wrap it up here. This has been a whole lot of fun. Man, thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks for having us.
A whole lot. Billy, you need to sign the hood before you leave.
I can do that.
And Harry, you've already signed it, so you don't get to sign it again. But you are the first guest that we've had on 2 times in a row, or 2 times. So.
Well,
You know,
that has a lot to do with you holding it over my head.
Guys, this has been a whole lot of fun. And where can they follow you guys if you want anyone to follow you on,
I don't
on
do
the socials?
I don't do any of that mess. It's at this point right here. It would be a softball following.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Clippers fast pitch. is what it says?
Yep. And it's just at some point, we'll. The good thing is now that that I get to like have say so in the team and the practices and stuff like that. One thing I can assure you is the practices on Thursday night or what have you will be very minimal.
There we go.
So,
Yeah.
There we go. The sheer amount of times I've heard from him, I'm like, hey, where are you at? Oh, I'm at softball practice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we might see him at Galat in 2025.
Yep. You probably will.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Well, and you and I have a race that we have to get off against each other at some point.
At some point,
you know, that when you've got your car back together and figured out, when I've got my car back together and figured out, I guess the question is, does the winner have to race him or does the loser have to race him?
It don't matter. Y'all both fighting for second place anyways.
Well,
You have to give us the back tire in the clear. I hadn't told you that yet.
Either one of y'all can get to 1-1.
Yeah. Well, you give us everything in racing.
More than likely, I would.
Yeah.
well, because he knows.
I know some shit y'all don't know.
Back tire clear.
Well, he knows because he knows damn well that if I come up there, it's I'm gonna give it everything it's got.
Well, I'm tuning Billy's car. So Billy's fucked either way.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Eric Gold tuning my car, so at least I got that on me.
I could just see this right now. Him going, well, here's your new tune.
Yeah,
You're good to go.
that is always funny. I've never seen anyone who managed to outrun their tuner. I'm just like, that's kind of funny because, like, I know that car should run faster than that car,
Yeah.
but somehow when they run against each other, it doesn't quite work out.
I'm giving her everything she's got, Captain, but she only made 10 pounds of boost.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
You're not looking at the data log, right?
Yeah.
Well, because you look at this right here. It really made.
I will say this, actually. Eric Gold, you were the only Starlet import I watched the entire World Cup finals that didn't blow up. So,
And
good on you.
That's saying something because Eric's had shit luck with that car ever since he put it together.
yeah. Yeah. All right. As always, you can follow me on Instagram at the Fast Plumber. We've got some stuff coming up here pretty soon, actually. So we're making progress on the car. It's if the chassis shop can come through, it'll be back up running for 2025. So I'm looking forward to it.
And you remember, 2025 has got 12 months.
It's got 12 months.
So if it's December of 2025, it's still 2025.
There you go. There you go. All right, guys. We'll see you later.
See you later.